working with a creating project. First we will create a new folder for it and rename it with QR code. After that you can open it with your favorite text editor. I will use Visual Studio Code throughout this project. So first we have to create a two folder, one for JavaScript, JS, and the other for CSS. Add index.html file. Now let's add style.css file. We have to write CSS code. In JS folder we will have to add two JavaScript file, QR code min.js, where we will have that JavaScript library code for QR code generator. In QR code.js we will write JavaScript code to generate the QR code for user input data.
I have installed Visual Studio Library extension, which will help me to show all the changes in the UI directly at the right site. In QR code min.js we will have that library code for QR code, and in QR code.js we will write JavaScript code for QR code generator. In index.html file we will write code for building that UI for QR code generator and input form. So let's change the title to QR code generator. I will use Bootstrap 5 throughout this project for UI design. So let me add that link to Bootstrap 5. Also, I will use an icon library. So I will add icon library here. Add that links to the icon library also. Also, here we have to provide a link to the style.css file in the CSS folder.
So let's start with the UI first. We will have a row, and with the row we have two columns. The first column will be for the user input fields, and the other column will have the generated QR code of a user input. So let's start building that responsive design UI for all size of devices. The first block will have two sub-blocks. One will be for icons. In the first block we will have some icons like icon for text, icon for link, icon for phone, icon for that VCard, and icon for app and messenger. Let me add some style to that icons. When we click on that icons, some specific form will appear for user input. Now let's add that other block for user inputs. I will use that extension for Bootstrap class suggestion. So install it. It will suggest classes for us, which will help to build a UI easily. We will have that submit button. Let the value of that submit button be generate. Provide ID to that generate button and class for some specific style. So let's provide some style to that button. Provide some padding, background color, text color, make it rounded, and some margin. Now let's add the text area where user have to enter plain text, and we will generate the QR code of that plain text. Provide class and ID to the text area. And also let's make that button in the center. And flex direction will be column. Make the button borderless. And now let's add the other block of our QR code where the QR code will be generated and shown in the UI. Now let's add a H2 tag and the text will be QR code. Make it in center. Now let's add two other icons for copy to clipboard button and a download button. With that copy icon, we will copy the image to clipboard, and with the download button, we will download the image to our device. Now let's shift it to the right side of the block. Now apply the same style to these two icons we have applied to the about icons. Below that icon block, we will add another block for QR code where QR code will be generated. We will use data ID of block in JavaScript to render QR code in this block. In code.js, create a new function QR code generator. Now let's get the input text the user have entered in the text area with JavaScript. And save it in the user input variable. Now let's create new variable QR code. The QR code function takes two arguments. The first one will be the element where we want to render the QR code, and the second will be the text the user have entered and a default value of which we want to generate the QR code. The size of QR code, which will be the height and width of that QR code, and the color dark of that QR code, and the color light of that QR code, and the last will be the correctness level. And set that correctness level to high. Now copy that function and send on clipboard to that function on generate button. So let's check whether it's working or not. Open that index.html file, enter some text here, click on that generate button, and we got this error because we have not provided any link to that JavaScript file in index.html file. At the bottom of a body tag, let's add the link to that QR code library and that QR code.js file. Now let's try again, refresh it, enter some text here, click on generate button, and we got this QR code. On hover effect, it shows the data stored in that QR code. Now we have to align that QR code in the center of the data block. Come back to Visual Studio Code editor. On this side we will generate the QR code again. Copy that class and replace it with this one. Now if we try again, and now the QR code will be in the center of the block. Let's try to pick it with the real device. Enter some text here. Click on that generate button and it will generate the QR code of it. On hover effect, it shows what is stored in that QR code. Now let's fetch that QR code with CamScanner. Open CamScanner, go to that QR code fetch section. QR code and scan that QR code. We have got the same text we have input there in the text area, and it means that it is working perfectly. Now let's try to change the color dark and light of the QR code. First we will change the color light of the QR code. Add some text here. Click on generate button and the color light of the QR code change. Now change back it again to the color white. Try it again. Click on generate button and it is changed to that default one. Now we have to change that color dark. Enter some text here and click on generate, and the color dark has changed to blue one. In this course we will use that black and white QR code, so let's change it back to black and white color. And we have to implement that copy to clipboard functionality in QR code. Just create new function copy QR code. Create a new variable for image and set the image element in that. The image is in the QR code block having image tag. So let's create a new canvas for that image. The width of canvas will be equal to that of image. The height of the canvas will be equal to that height of the image. Now we have to create 2D context for that image and draw the image in that context. Now we have to copy that canvas to clipboard. For that we have to write this code. Navigator.clipboard.write, and we have to write here, we have to pass it new clipboard item. The item will be of image type. Now copy that function name. In index.html file we have that copy icon, and on that copy icon we have to set on click call to that function. So let's try. Now refresh your site, enter some text here, click on the generate button, and then we have to click on that copy icon, and we have got some error, and we have passed the source of that image, not the element of that image. So let's set it. Now let's try again. Refresh it, enter some text here, click on generate, then click on copy icon, and now try to paste it in your document, and we have successfully implemented copy to clipboard functionality. We have to implement that download image functionality. So let's create new function download keyword. Now we have to create a new variable and set the source of that image in that variable. Create a new link element for that image. Set the download image name. Provide the source of that image to the new created link element. document.body append child and pass that element, and link.click, and after the download we have to remove that element also. So let's delete that element. Now let's try. Copy the download QR code function, open that index.html file, check for the download icon button, and on click call we have to set call to that function. So let's try, refresh it, enter some text here, you can generate, and then click on the download icon. So it is downloaded to our PC, and we have that QR code, and we have that QR code downloaded to our PC. And we have to add the new form for the icons, like for that link icon, phone icon, VCard icon, app icon, and the message icon. So we have to create new function for it, form type, and pass it the ID. Now we have to get that form element where we have to render that form. We have to use that switch condition, and to switch condition we have to pass ID. If the ID is equal to plain text, we have to render that plain text form. Let's copy the text area. In case of ID is equal to plain text, we will show this form. Also, this will be the default form when no ID matches it. Now copy that function name of, and in index.html file, on the text icon we have to call to it and pass the ID of that plain text. Now create a new element for the input of site URL. We have to enter site URL here, and we will generate the QR code of that URL. So placeholder will be enter site URL here. Apply some style. Margin will be auto to make it in the center, and margin top will be 2. Now copy this. Back to QR code.js and create a new case. Now if the ID is equal to site URL, we will show that input field for the site URL, where user have to enter site URL, and we will generate the QR code of that URL. And also add the breaks. Now click on that link icon, we have to pass that ID name of that site URL to show that input field for site URL. Now let's try, refresh it, click on that link icon, and it renders that inputs for site URL, app, and messages. So let's create a form for the remaining element. For VCard icon, we will create a form in the next tutorial, as it has lots of input fields. So let's set case for phone, and if the ID is equal to phone, we have to show that phone form. And in index.html file, we have to set call on phone icon to this function and pass phone as a string. Now let's try, and we have 3 input form for user to enter site URL, phone, and plain text. So now let's add for that app link. The app link will be like similar to that site URL, and set the case to app, and change that name and ID to app, app link. And on that app icon, we have to set on click call to that forum type and pass app as ID. Now if we click on that app icon, it shows a new forum for that app link. Refresh it, click on that icons, and it successfully render form according to that icons. Now we have to create a forum for that message. So back to that QR code address, copy that, and in the HTML we have to put it here, and now change it to phone. And also set it here for that phone. Now back to that index.html file, change it to enter phone number here. Now we have to put the text area below that phone number. And provide some gap between it. And we have to change the plain text to message. And the placeholder will be enter your message here. Back to that QR code address, and also duplicate it, set it to message, and copy that and set it here, and let format this well. And on message icon we will set on click call to that forum type function and pass message. And if the ID is equal to message, we will show that message in a forum. Let's remove it. And now let's check all the forum we have built for user inputs, and it's worked perfectly. And we will set also this placeholder for text area. Enter your text here and also copy it, and your code address, paste it here, and also that case. Let's check it again. Click on that and click on that icon, it renders a new forum in the forum box element. Let's create the input forum for that VCards. As VCard has multiple input values, so we will build our new forum for it. First we have a row, and the row have two columns. The first input field will be for the first name, and the placeholder will be first name. Class will be forum control provided by Bootstrap. Also copy it and paste it here and change it first name to last name, and change it name and ID also. Format the document. Now let's create some other input fields for VCards. Input fields. Create a new input field, Telly, and type in detail, and name will be mobile, ID will be mobile, placeholder will be mobile, class will be forum control. Provide some gap between input fields. Now let's copy that and paste it. Provide some gap, and we have to change it to Telly number, and we have to change it to phone. Also change it to phone, and the text will be tel. Now and change it to text. Now copy it again and paste it under the text. The input type will be email. Change it to email and the placeholder will be your email.com. Again copy this, paste it here, provide some gap, change it to company, input type will be text, change it to job, copy that again and place it here, change it to text. This should be street, change it to straight. Now let's copy it again and paste it here. And now let's change it column size, change it to city and change it to zip. Copy that and paste it here. Now we have to set it to state. Also copy it again and we have to set that to country. Copy it again and paste it here and set it to website and your www.website.com. Now we have to copy all this, so let's copy all this back to that code.js and create a new case for VCards. And the forum box.inner HTML will be equal to that. Let me set that. There should be break here. If a condition matches, then the switch condition should break. Now in index.html file, we have to remove it. Also we have to call that forum type when the site loads, and by default we have to show that plain text forum. Let's copy that and VCard icon we have to set on clipboard to that forum type and pass here VCard. Now let's try. Now we have created all the forums for that icons and each icon shows their respective forum. So let's create a variable forum field in forum field type, and it will be equal to null. In forum type we will set the forum field type to id, and here create some variables, plain text, repeat it, change it to site URL, change it to whom. Also for that app, create new variable, create a new message variable, create a new switch condition. We have to pass here forum field type, copy the cases and paste it here, clear it, change it to plain text and create a new variable user input. Now if the forum field type is equal to plain text, then the plain text variable will be equal to the user input in the plain text forum. Let this user input will be equal to text and place that user input using the in the variable. It should be the default case also, and also break it. Repeat it. Change it to site URL. Also change it to site URL. Instead of plain text, it should be equal to site URL, and change it to site URL also. Now refresh it, click on that link icon, enter your site.com, click on generate, and on hover effect the QR code will show the correct link we have entered there in the user input field. Give some space between site URL. Change it to phone. This should be phone. And let's try with phone. Enter your phone number here. Click on generate, and on hover effect it will show the correct phone number we have entered there in the user input field. So now let me set up for that VCard. So change it to VCard. As we have many user input fields there, so we have to create variables for each input field. Let me first it. Now let's create an input value function which will return the input value user have entered. We have to pass the ID of that input field, and it will return the value user have entered there. So come to that VCard case, clear it, and let first name will be equal to that input value function, and we have to pass that f name as it is the ID of first name input field. So for the remaining we have to pass that input field ID and set it into the respective variable. So let the user input value will be equal to f name, then the user input we have got from user, then line a break character. We will repeat it for all the user input field we have got in the variables. So let's try to make it fast. To give a core function, there is a text. To text we pass that user input variable. The user input variable have all the user input values in user have entered. We have make a respective label for it and set that value in front of it, and after that we have add a line break. Now let's try, and we are passing some unknown ID to that function, and this should be email, capital E. And let's try again. Enter some dummy data and click on generate, and in the generate the QR code of all the user input data. Also it shows in the console window with respective label we have provided there. As we are done with the QR code generator for VCard, now we have to create a QR code for that app link and that message. So change it to app and pass here a link. Let's pass that link, paste it, click on generate. We got an error because we haven't refreshed that page. refresh it, paste it here again, click on generate, and it will generate the QR code of that link we have provided as an end link. Now next we have to create the QR code of that message. Now let's duplicate that and change it to message. First we will have that phone and pass here that phone and pass here that input phone field ID, and for message we have to set it to message. Let's set that phone, and this should be phone plus line break character. And also for message we have to write a message, and to message we will have a message video. Let's also change this to input value. We will pass ID to that function, and which will return the user input value of that field. Here is some issue because we have already QR code, and click on it also add QR code at the bottom of the previous one without removing that previous one. So we have to fix it. So we have to set that element inner HTML to empty. And now let's try again, refresh it, and now let's try. And if we click on other icons, it doesn't show that overlapping below that previous one. So let's enter some text here. So now let's enter some text here. Click on generate, and it will generate without adding at the bottom of the previous one. So now let's add some text to that icon buttons. Let me use that small element and add text here, and also let me put that with other icons, and I have to change it to download. This will be copy, and also for this will be message, app link, VCard, phone, link. Now let's center that icon, copy that and paste it with all other remaining icons. So it applied to the all other remaining icons, and the icon should be in the center of that icon block. Now let's add other div block, and here should provide some padding, add h1 tag and write QR code generator here, and the text should be in the center of that block. Now we will add a paragraph tag here and provide some padding, and I will place that text here. At the bottom we will have to add that block also, and change that h1 tag, and I will add some text here. Now let's add icon button in the footer of site, provide some style to the block, copy that icon button style, and let's add icon button for Facebook. There we will provide link to that Facebook page. Also paste this style here, and I will add a YouTube icon button and Instagram button. Let me put that style here, provide some padding here and margin effect. Now we will have to apply some link to that button, paste it here, copy that and cut that and paste it here, cut it and paste it here. Let's apply that same style to the other. Show the icon clearly. Now we have to provide that links. This is the links to Facebook page. This will be a YouTube channel link, and this will be the Instagram link. Now that we have to publish that QR code generator website, so search for 00 web host. Now let's click on get started. Select that free plan, free sign up. Now sign up here. I will log in with Google, and here is I have login. Now so here select other and enter your project name. My project name will be QR code generator site, and click on submit button. Now we have to upload that site file, so click on upload your site. Here enter your project name and password. Sign in. Now in public underscore HTML directory we have to upload our site. So let's start uploading that file. Select it and I will upload it manually. It was showing error for me, so I have uploaded all the CSS and JavaScript file manually. So now let's visit the site. Click on this link and our site will be live. So with 00 web host we can publish our sites free and it will be live.